Hello and welcome to another edition of In Conversation With. I'm delighted to be joined by a former pupil who is an international badminton player. The former pupil in question is Rachel Sugden. Rachel, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm very good, thanks.
How's your day been?
Good, yeah, I've just finished training, so it's been a good day.
Good, good. I'm sure you're very grateful to have that routine in these current kind of restrictions.
Yeah,
I'm going to do a wee
100%.
bio on you so that all the people who watch this can hear a bit about you. I know you're a very modest individual, so you don't like this, but I'm going to tell people a bit about you. And it was hard getting this information out of you because you are so modest. So you won the under 17 and under 19 girls badminton Scottish championships, but probably more amazingly, which you alluded to, you got your first senior cap representing Scotland in the senior women's European team championships. And I thought that was great. I thought that's a fantastic achievement. And I had to really prod. I said, how did you get on? Well, we won a bronze medal. Unbelievable. I mean, not only third in Europe on your senior debut, but you also finished above England. I mean, that has to be
We did, yeah.
worthy of note. I mean, an absolute tremendous achievement. And what age are you, 19?
Yeah, 19.
So senior cap at 19, and what a start. You've certainly set the bar high in terms of where you go now with your career.
Yeah, that's true.
But fantastic and delighted, and congratulations on that achievement.
Thank you very much.
And in terms of university, I believe you're at Strathclyde. What are you studying at Strathclyde?
Mechanical engineering.
Oh, wow. So you've got full-time uni, albeit online, and pretty much a full-time badminton career.
Yeah.
Do you have a job, or do you just stick to those two?
No, just those two at the moment. They take up all my time.
Now, I believe when I was at uni, you used to have grants available for sporting achievement. Have you managed to get a bit of funding through the uni?
Yeah, I've got a little bit from Strathclyde, yeah, just to help.
Is that through Strathclyde or is it through winning students?
I didn't get winning students this year, but
wow,
it's available. But yeah, I just got some money from Strathclyde.
Super, and I'm sure that helps a lot.
Yeah, it does.
It's a massive sacrifice. Okay, I'm just going to go through some questions with you, just so we can get an understanding of your experience of badminton in school life, and then we'll introduce our lovely pupils to ask you some questions. So, Rachel, what was your earliest memory of PE?
I would say playing rounders in primary school, in the summertime, out in the pitches, and playing football as well.
Super. How about your kind of early sporting heroes?
Well, when I didn't really start badminton until I was about 9, but before that I really enjoyed watching Meikle Phelps, because I swam a bit myself, so he was always a big inspiration. But when I started playing badminton, I would say Susan Egglestaff, who was the women's singles champion at the time in Scotland, and then Carolina Marin, who's Olympic champion for women's singles. So
yeah, three great role models. I actually watched some badminton the other night, and Marin was playing, and she's phenomenal. I was very fortunate to watch her play live in Glasgow against Kirsty Gilmore in a tremendous final, and she is a talented athlete, as is Kirsty.
Yeah, they would are.
So you mentioned that you only actually picked up a racket properly when you were 9 years old, which is probably quite surprising. What was that first involvement in badminton?
It was with my mum in the back garden. My mum played badminton, and we used to just play like in the summertime together. And then she introduced me to a local club where I started playing a bit more.
And was there a family background in badminton? Are your family heavily involved in it, or was it just a hobby?
It was just my mum that played, really. No one else in my family really played it, so it was just something that we enjoyed doing together.
Fantastic. I mean, I as you know, I'm a massive fan of badminton, but I just quite often in sports, it tends to be, if your family did it to a high level, it was easier for you to follow that path. Well, that's interesting. And not easy playing outside. I mean,
no,
people think you can go outside, but it takes a slight wee bit of wind. So maybe that was a key factor in you becoming such a superstar. Was it obvious to you or your mum from the moment you picked up a racket that it was a natural talent?
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say I was the most naturally gifted, but I tried out for the national squad by accident when I was about 9, I think.
Wow.
And that was just based on athletic ability. So I was always quite good at running, and And yeah, that was how I got into the national squad. And then I obviously started getting a lot more coaching input for badminton. But yeah, I wouldn't say I was ever that naturally gifted.
Wow. At what point did you realise though that this sport that you loved, and I take it you loved it because you play sport that you enjoy. At what point did you go, and this is difficult for you because you are modest, did you go, you know what, I think I'm quite good at this? You know, was there a key result, a key victory, or did you just kind of go, pooh, I think I'm better than most of my peers? And I know that's difficult to speak about, but was there a moment?
I think probably when I won the under 11 nationals, I realised that, well, I thought I was, quite good. But yeah, I would say that. I don't think there's really any other sort of defining moment in that way, but yeah.
So you've started in the garden. Let's just recap. At 9 years old, in the garden, not a proper badminton court.
Yeah.
Not a proper net. Probably not even a proper shuttle. And
No,
2 years
classic one.
2 years later, you're national champion. So my question is, do you as an athlete believe in there's such a thing as natural talent?
I would say so to a certain extent, yeah. But I think it can only ever take you so far, that you definitely need a lot of hard work and the right coaching input to be able to realise any talent.
Yeah, I think that's a really strong message. I mean, you will have played alongside, and I certainly have played alongside people that were natural talents and never made it.
Yeah.
Because they weren't willing to put the work in. So somebody being at this level, it's a natural talent, but it can fall away quickly. And I think also you get a lot of these very naturally talented athletes that the game comes easily to them, and suddenly we catch up with them. What is their plan B?
Yeah, they don't have one sometimes.
Yeah, because they've not taken that coaching input. So it's a really. I believe in natural talent, but like you have just alluded to, it's so important to back it up with methodology and training.
Yeah.
Great to hear. What about other sports? I mean, you mentioned swimming and you mentioned athletics. Were they the two main sports that you would say you excelled at or enjoyed beyond badminton?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I swam competitively for a little while, maybe up until I was about 12, I think. And then, badminton sort of took over. But in high school, I really enjoyed athletics and long distance running, especially because it did really help with badminton and my base fitness. And I also really enjoyed sprinting and just anything athletics.
And would you say that having the background in those sports has been very beneficial to your badminton, or is it?
Yeah, I would say so. I think the fact that I swam so much from a young age definitely helped with shoulder flexibility and strength. Definitely key in badminton. And I think it's always really important for badminton players to be able to run well, because it just helps with your aerobic fitness. So yeah, I'd say it definitely helps a lot.
If you were to look at aspects of fitness, and obviously you're an expert in them, having been taught higher PE by none other than myself.
Yeah.
If you were to look at the core aspects of fitness, let's say cardiorespiratory endurance, local muscular, speed, flexibility, agility, but what do you think the key component, the key aspect of fitness to be a successful badminton player is, if you had to pick one?
That's really difficult because obviously badminton, you need all those areas of fitness, but I would probably say speed would be the most important. And maybe agility as well would come into that, just being able to cover the court well.
I'll maybe reframe it for you. I mean, I believe agility is a massive thing in sports and it's probably underplayed. I'll maybe reframe it. Which aspect of fitness do you think you put most time into?
I'll probably say agility again, because you're always practicing movement on the badminton court, and it's really important, especially for singles, which is my main event. So yeah, agility.
Final question from me. This is very much from a higher point of view, but I mean, you've talked about your physical capabilities and your physical attributes. How much of the game, if you were to portion it, is mental? Involved as the brain. How much of it, out of 100%, what percentage would you say?
I'd probably say around 50, quite a high percentage of it is mental. Because you can have all the fitness and all the skills, but if you're not mentally strong, then you can't execute any of them properly.
Yeah, I think that's something that I certainly never had a grasp of as a younger person. I think we're better with that now. Even for the pupils or people listening, the fact that having the motivation to turn up every day and train, that is a mental strength.
Yeah, it's a big part of it.
It can be really boring.
Mm-hmm.
But that ability to keep going is wonderful. Hopefully we've got a good idea now about your kind of school life and your introduction to badminton. I'm now going to hand over to the pupils. So I'm going to ask Rebecca to ask you her question.
So apart from badminton, what was your favourite sport at school?
That's a good question. At school, I would say definitely athletics. I really enjoyed running, as I already said. So yeah, athletics.
Super. Bavia, what's your question for Rachel?
Have you ever felt like you wanted to stop playing? If so, what kept you motivated?
Personally, I can't say that I could ever remember a time where I have wanted to stop, because I do love it so much. But I think if I ever did, consider maybe doing something else, that it would always come back to the fact that I love badminton and I always have. So that would definitely keep me going.
I'm going to try and expand a wee bit on that. So you mentioned that you've not ever fallen out of love with your sport, and that's pretty, I mean, you've been playing it for a decade. That's quite impressive. Yeah. You must have had moments, though, where you've had real lows, or maybe not. Maybe your career's been on a trajectory. When you've had those lows, how have you dealt with them?
I think when you do have like bad days or bad tournaments, it's really important to speak to someone about it. Like, I always have a coach that I would maybe phone after a match it's maybe not gone so well, just to talk things through with. And I think someone else's perspective really helps you realise it's maybe not as bad as you think it is.
Yeah, I think that ability to talk is really important. It's good to talk. You hear this phrase a lot in society. And of course, coach feedback, perspective. Yeah. I think as sports people, it's very easy to be very fatalistic. It's the end of the world. It's only a match. But you get that with age. It's very, very rarely do you get young athletes that have that perspective because you've not lived it. No, that's great. Pranav, how about you? What was your question for Rachel?
My question is, what is the hardest part about being an athlete?
I would say being disciplined all of the time is probably the hardest part. Like, a lot of the time, because I am so busy, I don't get a lot of time to see my friends or spend maybe as much time with family as I want to. But at the end of the day, you know what you need to do to become the best athlete that you can, and your family and friends will understand that as well. But it is hard having to make sacrifices sometimes.
Okay, Abby, what's your question?
My question is, what's your favourite tournament you've ever played?
My favourite tournament would probably be either the World Junior Championships or the European Women's Championships that I played for my first cap. That was a really amazing experience because, it was my first cap and I got to play a lot of top class world or European players that I'd never played before. So it was a really good experience for me.
Super question, Abby. I'd like to go a wee bit further. Whereabouts? I think your World Juniors was in Indonesia.
One of them was. So I've been to 3.
3, right. So what was your favourite destination?
Well, Indonesia was by far my favourite, just because of the atmosphere there. Like, in Indonesia, badminton is absolutely huge. So there were loads of people in the crowd watching and like chanting, and it was just a completely different atmosphere to anything else I'd ever experienced before.
So you mentioned that you got the opportunity to play against players seeded higher than you, and that's what any athlete wants, because you need to test yourself. You could be a very big fish in a small pond in Scotland, but ultimately better players. Did you have any notable victories against these players? In fact, I'm going to leave that one because it might come up in a question.
Okay.
So I'll see. And Shita, would you like to share your question, please?
My question was, do you enjoy playing singles or doubles?
I enjoy playing singles more, and that's what all my training for is just now.
But I do believe I looked up your seeding, and you've got a fairly good win ratio in doubles.
Yeah, I play doubles occasionally. I never really train for it anymore, but sometimes if I'm going to a tournament abroad, and I can play doubles, I will, just to maybe get more experience for playing in different halls and things. It's always good. Plus, like doubles skills can help in singles as well, so it's always good to play both.
Super. Okay, Corbin.
Who inspires you to be better at badminton?
I would definitely say Carolina Marin is a great inspiration for me, because she has achieved everything that I want to achieve in badminton. So she's Olympic champion, she's won the world championships 3 times, she's basically the best women's singles player there ever has been. So watching her play matches is definitely a big inspiration.
Okay, thank you. Leo.
Right. What's the hardest opponent you've gone against and won?
I would say when I was playing the European Women's Team Champs, I played a match against Russia, against a woman called Natalie Permanova. And she was ranked, I think she's ranked top 50 in the world. So I went into that match with no expectations for really winning, which allowed me to relax, and I ended up playing really well and beating her. So I'd say she's probably the hardest opponent I've played.
Great answer. I mean, did you go out there to have fun?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I knew that she was ranked a lot higher than me, that she had a lot more experience than I did, and it just allowed me to play really freely.
That's great. Super, super. Finally, Seth.
My question is, if you were in a situation where you caught another player cheating, what would you do?
Good question.
It's quite a difficult one to answer. If it was on like a line call or something like that, I probably would question them, because it is important to stand up for yourself if you think that you're being outright cheated. But if it was at a tournament, normally there are umpires to deal with that for you anyway. But if there weren't any umpires on my match, you could probably go to the desk and ask for an umpire. So that's probably what I'd do in that case.
Super. Now, I've watched you play, Rachel. I came to watch you play in the Scottish at Perth.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to watch you and try and identify how you deal with difficult moments. So moments where you've been indecisive, you've probably selected the wrong shot, you wish you could turn back time, or you've missed an easy kill. Have you got strategies that you use to keep yourself calm?
Yeah, so I normally use some centering techniques from Harry that recently I've been trying this in training. So I've been like fixing my shoelaces, or just walking to the back of the court and taking a second to just try and not get annoyed at myself, because I can be quite bad for that sometimes in training, where if I'm making loads of mistakes, I will get a bit annoyed at myself. But I think like fixing my shoelaces and things like that definitely helps me a lot.
And the reality is, and again, you pupils, you probably only get this with time. The negative stuff doesn't really contribute positively to your game. I mean, you talk about going to the back of the court. There's a bit of an in-joke amongst the P department that we're all quite fierce rivals, and quite often when things are going badly for me, I'll go to the back of the court and wipe my hand against the wall. And it gives me a moment, but it absolutely infuriates my opponents.
Yeah.
Because I think it's gamesmanship. So all really useful techniques that are nothing to do with the physical part of the game. It's just the mental side. Fascinating speaking to you, Rachel. I mean, an absolute delight. And it's difficult. It's really difficult getting all your kind of achievements out of you because of the nature of you as a person. Keep that up. That's a wonderful way to be.
Thank you.
Yeah, we wish you all the best. I know it's been a difficult year, but hopefully things return to normal and we see your head. We see your name in the headline What's your next tournament you're preparing for?
The European mixed team championships. I'm going there in a couple of weeks. That's in Finland. So
Oh, nice.
for me, yeah.
And what's the Scotland team looking like? What's your seeding?
I'm not sure if we even have a seeding, but yeah, we're not really expected to do much, and we've got a really hard group. We're playing Germany and Denmark, that both have really experienced players in their teams and top class players. Really, like Denmark has the current world tour champion,
Ooh.
men's singles, so it's a really tall order for us to beat them, but we're just going for experience. Really, we've got quite a young team as well, so
I think I might have seen the Danish guy. Is he really tall? Like 6'5"?
yeah.
Unbelievable mover for a
Victor
big man.
Axelsen, yeah.
Fantastic. Anyway, take up plenty of your time. Thank you very much to the transites and first year pupils for your wonderful questions. I believe that most of them play badminton. So I'm going to finish in a final one, just came into my head. What's your number one piece of advice for our young aspiring badminton players in terms of improving? What's the number one thing you would say to make you a good badminton player?
I would say just work really hard, and always listen to any advice that coaches give you, and yeah, just try and if you want to be the best, and you need to put a little bit more extra in as well. So yeah, just work hard.
Good message. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I can end this now, and Rachel, all the best. Hopefully we'll see you get a medal at the mixed. You never know.
Never know. Thanks.
Bye, pupils.